for some weird thing because I'm on vacation that it's not allowing me. I had to put in a password and everything. It's weird.
That's I had to ask. Where you
No
at?
problem.
North Carolina,
Okay, nice. Outer Banks?
Outer Banks, yeah.
Yeah.
Top Sale.
Okay.
Have you ever been there?
I've never been there, but I hear a lot of people love going there.
Where are you guys from?
We're actually in New Jersey right now. We're actually down the street from Architect.
Oh, up the street.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So just give you a little bit of an idea. So out in the middle of nowhere, more or less.
Yeah, basically.
They're really nice guys there.
Yeah, I think, Dan, don't you still go there for guitar lessons?
I used to, but I talk to the owners a lot because just a mutual working relationship, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they're super cool guys.
Yeah, they manage Seven Dust and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool to have a place down the street that kind of deals with those people, you know.
I did a drum clinic when they first moved to that place to like open it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Chad, you might not understand this, but like you are the reason that Dan is a drummer. Like it's that crazy. Like he's trying so hard not to fanboy right now.
I would say more like he should be a landscaper after.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't know if I do good with the landscaper though.
Yeah, well, you're also short, so you can't get up on like the high bushes.
Yeah, I can't clip those. I need to bring a chair with me.
Dan, since this is your idol, go with your first question.
Sure. So what projects are you're currently in now? Because if I'm correct, you left Black Label Society.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that I left about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
To play with Scott Stapp, and he kind of had some issues, and
so we've seen.
And so I kind of left on those terms. But I've been playing with a guy named Mike LeComte.
Mm-hmm.
He's real known in the Philly area, and I've been playing at Cape May and Sea Isle, I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
and like all the I did like 8 shows in 4 days. So
Jesus.
lot of playing. But it's been great, man, and I've been doing that full time, teaching, doing drum clinics, producing. I never thought I'd be a producer, but I've been trying to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going so far?
It's been great, man. I'm producing a band. They used to be called Flathead Sky. Now they're a different band, kind of gone their separate ways, but I've been helping them, and a band called Silence No More out of Delaware.
Okay, that name sounds familiar to me. I can't think off the top of my head. We might have played a show with them before, Dan.
You might have.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice guys, good musicians, and just good old-fashioned to see a band that gets along.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a family kind of thing. You don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember what band that was? A couple weeks ago, we were talking with them. Oh, it was last week, the podcast, and it was crazy to hear them all like wanting to practice and wanting to get together and do this and do that, and just nowadays you don't really hear that a lot, especially with me and John. We've been in and out of bands, and it's difficult to see people with that kind of drive.
Yeah,
it is. It's. I don't hate any of the people that, play in bands. It's more the business that makes you greedy, that makes you envious and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, guys, we're on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
It's like, thank God the Cavs won, but let's use the Browns as, because I'm from Cleveland.
Are you really? I didn't know.
Original, yeah. Now I reside in Pennsylvania. But if you want a great team, you have to have good players, for one. And then your players all have to understand their role. And then 3, they all have to work as a team. There's no I in team. Not one person can pull that load.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's few and far from like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You know, but still you had Pippen and you had all these other guys that did a contribution to the team. You know, Dennis Rodman, you know, was great for rebounds and all that. So to me, having a perfect band is having the perfect team, and everyone seeing eye to eye and knowing when to step on each other's toes and when not to. And nowadays you don't see many bands that can stay together.
Yeah, that's true. So do you know of any bands that you could maybe compare to, let's say, like the Golden State Warriors, how they just got Kevin Durant, so that's another like major star next to Steph Curry. So
Right.
do you know like any bands offhand where you're like, okay, there's too many stars here, something's not going to work out.
Yeah, like Clash.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of us musicians didn't think, what's that band? Audio Slave.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like Rage Against the Machine and Chris Cornell, but man, they made a great living and they had some big songs.
They did, yeah.
You know, it's a super group sometimes is good, and then you think, oh well, because it's got all the, you know, great players that automatically it's going to be great music, and sometimes that's not the truth.
I can be honest. I don't think I've really heard that many super groups that I actually listen to and say, wow, you know, this trumps like their individual bands.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I think Hell Yeah could be a great example of that. I mean, you have like Pantera, Nothing, what was it, Nothing Face, and Mudvayne all together, and then they combine together to Hell Yeah. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, they're decent, but maybe it's because they're experimenting, you know? I mean, obviously, you don't want to do the same. You don't want to play Pantera's music, and you don't want to play Mudvayne.
Yeah.
You kind of want to go a different route. So maybe that's why, you know.
Could be it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Van Halen. Van Halen isn't going to go techno because, you know, they're going to stay true to their sound, kind of like Breaking Benjamin did with all the new guys. You know, they're still Breaking Benjamin. They're not going to go over and beyond something so different, but they're going to still stay with that cookie dough formula. And I mean, over the years of me drumming and playing in bands professionally, I realized it really isn't the talent that really matters. You just got to have a great song and know how to play well with the other people. You know, there's not virtuosos out there that you're just like, oh my God, everybody's amazing, but they know how to play as a band. And I think when you don't have that virtuoso talent, you start to go, okay, I'm not going to be a Vinnie Colaiuta or a Dennis Chambers on drums or an Eddie Van Halen. But look at Kurt Cobain. I mean, obviously you wouldn't see him now, but if he would you see him do a guitar clinic at Guitar Center?
Who wouldn't?
Right? So he knew how to write a great song. And that's, to me, that all that matters is being able to write a good song or arranging a good song. The drumming can sometimes be way over in people's heads, and they're like, I don't get it. Where you can play buku baka baka boom, caveman rock drumming, and people think it's awesome. And then add a couple double bass fills, and they think you're the best drummer in the world.
Yeah, that's what I feel like with pop music. You know, I mean, I guess us, you know, me and John as musicians, we get metal and we like it. But a lot of times it's just, I think that's it. It's just too technical, or, you know, people just criticize what they don't understand, you know, that common phrase. So, and that's what I'm saying. Pop music, it's, you know, like you said, it's you know, caveman music.
It's the same formula.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They get that.
Yeah, it's no different than country, but, you know, it's just having the right guys that think the same thing that you do. And like, look at bands like Periphery. You know, it's not my cup of tea, but they're great at what they do.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and if you take them from, let's say, Florida Georgia Line or whatever they're called, and take those fans to a Periphery show, I don't think they're going to get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you take the Periphery guys and vice versa, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Everyone's entitled to an opinion. And I think, when people say, oh, this band sucks and this and that, well, that's your opinion, whatever. I have my opinion. But it doesn't make that it sucks. Like drummers today, with YouTube and everything, you see a lot of really bad criticism on the comments. And it's disheartening to see, because it's like this kid's just trying to play drums and loves what he does, and then some idiot comes out there and has to bash him.
Of course, that's the power of the internet, though. That's the problem.
Exactly. That's what people get their rocks off of nowadays, is hurting other people.
Yeah, I heard it, best today, on a podcast. They said it's a double-edged sword. You could do so much good with it, and then you could do so much harm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the internet's a great source for the bands to get the music out, and I don't want to say that, like, people are entitled to their opinion, but, like, you can't be, like, an overboard asshole about it. You can't just be like, all right, yeah, eat shit and die. I mean, you can't say that. You'd be like, okay, you know what? I respect what you do. It's not for me. I think if a lot more fans would be like that.
I think YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that dumb crap is, to me, it takes away the mystique of the musician. It's like, there's so many good musicians on YouTube. I watch them all the time on YouTube. But nowadays, people don't even want to go and see talent and find that talent. They can go right on the computer and see it. And obviously, if you have 4 million hits on a video, people are going to start knocking at your door. I think what society has come to is popularity of views, hits, and likes.
More or less, yeah.
And if you don't have, 4K of hits, then you're nothing. If you don't have 25, if you don't, and, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, to me, that really makes us musicians that really, really, really work hard for it, that never were discovered back in the day. It's like you guys have it so much easier on YouTube to watch. You can learn licks. They can slow it down. I mean, obviously technology changes and it gets better over time, but the talent, people used to have to work for it. Now you can almost make yourself play guitar in a matter of a week.
More or less, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Definitely.
Everyone thinks they're a drummer. And to a certain degree, everyone could play a beat. But the beauty of drumming is everyone speaks differently. So with that being said about YouTube and all the things, is everyone has an opinion about that drummer. But what scientific can you prove of science that drummer's bad compared to the other guy? You can't put let's say you can't put Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eddie Van Halen in the same category. They're both badasses. But who's better? There's no such thing.
Of course, you can have the little conversation. Well, Maiden is way better than Judas Priest. Like people used to do back in the day. But there's when you look down at things, even though you play the same genre, you, like you said, you have a different voice about everything, and some people hear that voice differently than others. So.
Absolutely. So, my question to you guys: being fast, is that what makes you a good musician?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Exactly. What, to me, over the years, what makes you a great musician is an identity. When I play on a record for somebody, they know it's me. That, to me, is talent. Speed and all that, that's just repetition and endurance and practice to get to that. But I don't think, half the time on everyone's records I play on, I don't even get to do a tenth of my drumming. So I sat there over the years and said, okay, I'm going to start really writing drum hooks. And Ben and I would talk about that. Jeremy Hummel wrote some good stuff, and I think I wrote some good stuff. And I really started to clue on to things that I really want to do in my life as a drummer. And yeah, I can play fast, but knowing when to do it and when not to do it. You know, when to hold them and know when to fold them, kind of thing.
That's right, Keddy.
Yeah. So, you know, all these things are, again, opinions of people. So what really makes you the best drummer or the best guitar player, this or that? Not because of likes, not because you won a battle of the bands, not because you sold 1 million records. All that is all opinion.
Mhm.
And I think once we can get over the opinionated things and all the hits and likes, everyone's going to be well respected.
Yeah.
But imagine if you had 7 million subscribers on your podcast.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be
Exactly. But you guys are cool. You guys are doing something good. Why can't you?
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's somebody's opinion that says, "Oh, they're just kids," or this or that,
Or
or
we
whatever.
don't have enough views.
Yeah, that's
Just like you
right.
said, it's
Yeah.
hidden.
So it stops people from growing because they get disappointed. You know, so they're like, "Oh man, how come I only have 20,000 hits and the new drummer covers my song that's now in Breaking Benjamin before he was in Breaking Benjamin
Mm-hmm.
and has 100,000 hits?" That doesn't make sense,
No.
right?
It doesn't, but you know, you're the originator to this, and I don't know why
Right.
people don't see this. It's like everything that you did, you know, you invented all this. You made it possible for this new drummer to get 100,000 views because without you, he'd be doing drums to some other drumming
It's
songs.
easy to emulate. It's hard to create.
Mhm.
God damn, truer words have never been spoken.
You know, and I'll say it one more time. It's easy to emulate, and it's way harder to create.
Mhm.
And that goes for me back in the day when I used to cover drum songs. I'm not saying that it's not bad, but it doesn't teach you. I mean, we all get a plethora of people that we look up or look towards to try to be like that person. But at the end of the day, you're never going to be that person.
Nope.
So be yourself. Forget the likes. Forget the views. Just be yourself. And I think we'll be so much better at what we do.
Mhm.
You know, that's why all those reality shows are so popular, like the Kardashians, because you go, well, I'm glad that wasn't me.
Yeah, that's more or less it. Yeah.
And you can turn the channel and live vicariously through them.
I mean, why would you?
Yeah, because you're like, man, I'm bored. Let's watch this dumb show.
Instead of putting your time and focus into creating basically your own show. Like if you like the Kardashians
Correct.
so much, why
Correct.
not, you know, create the O'Connors, in my opinion. But
That would be an amazing show, John.
thank you, Dan.
So, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like what you guys are doing is great, and it just takes time to build your company.
Mm-hmm.
And once word gets on the street, you get certain people to start getting some plugs for you. You know, you using those people as your resume.
Absolutely.
It just takes time. But watch your company blow up, and then people are like all on the bandwagon. Oh, I knew these guys. I knew they were going to be big. Really? That's cool.
No, but then this is the funny thing. It goes back to the internet situation. I feel like in the beginning, everyone's all like, "Oh, this is awesome!" You know, people that really love what you're doing, they come out, and then immediately, boom, you hit it, and then you have all those haters.
Yeah.
It's like they just come out of the woodwork like, "Oh, this show sucks." It's like, where were you in the beginning? It's only because we are huge that you have to put us down. It's just crazy.
It's like bands. Then when they call, "Oh, you sold out," and I'll do the Jason Newsted quote. Yep. Every show. You know, you grow as human beings.
Mhm. I mean, what do you expect them to do? To play the same music over and over again, or if you're in a metal band, to chug away and play the same fast double bass over and over again? You know, and not for nothing, it's your job. Would we take a promotion as a manager or something? You know, of course we would to make more money. So why can't bands or band members do that?
Yeah, I'm very blessed from the man above that I didn't follow the trend all the time. I always wanted to be the outcast. Like when Chucks were in, I was wearing Nikes. And then when Chucks went out, I started wearing Chucks.
So you're like a metal hipster type of deal?
I wouldn't say a metal hipster, but just one of those guys that everyone had them. I was in that phase, don't get me wrong, when I was a lot younger. But the older I get, Chucks are good enough for me, man. I don't need $140 shoes to make me jump and touch the rim, because it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, especially for me. Kind of short, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, Dan, you're what, like 5'9"?
5'5".
5'5". Oh my God.
Almost 6 foot. What?
Oh shit! I didn't know I was a whole foot taller.
Everyone's built differently. Some days, I used to beat myself up and say I look like a crackhead, and I don't even do crack. But I have a very skinny physique. There's nothing I can do about it except take steroids, and people will be like, "You're on steroids," obviously. So it's like,
why please everyone? Just please yourself.
Right. You just got to accept who you are, the way the man made you, and just live life through its fullest. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm preaching to the choir, but I've lived through beating myself profusely every day for 20 some years. I got to get better on drums. I suck on drums. I look horrible. It's one of those things where you keep it to yourself, but then, hello, Facebook. And then that gets exploited, and then people get embarrassed by it, because it's not just in high school. Now it's all over the world for everyone to laugh at. And then that's when people commit suicide.
Yeah.
I know we're going off on a tangent.
That's all right.
Hey, you like ice cream? You hear about that shuttle that took off?
But yeah, like back when, you were a kid, and just right when we were a kid, there was no such thing as the internet. Like this, I'm going back to like maybe mid-90s for both Dan and I. And if you got bullied in school, as soon as 3 o'clock hit, that was the end of it until, 9 a.m. the next day. Now, like, kids have to go onto Facebook, and they see more and more humiliation happening. So it's a 24/7 cycle, which is completely
it's terrible.
insane.
It's literally a cancer that just will not go away for those people. It's like this black shadow that follows them, and they can't get rid of it. And every day gets worse and worse. And that's why sometimes this internet crap is not all cracked up what it seems to be. I mean, back in the day, I'm showing my age, I had VHS tapes.
We had VHS tapes, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know how old are you guys?
I'm 26.
I'm 27, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, I'm 39. I'm a little bit older. But when I had VHS tapes, I had to pause to see the positioning of their hands. And it was like trying to hide from my parents watching naughty video, stuff where, if on HBO and we didn't have it and the squiggly lines would come through, I'd be like, oh, wow, I saw a boob.
Yeah. Skinamax, of course.
Yeah, Skinamax, exactly. So nowadays, you don't have that. And if you need something, you can slow the frame rate down. And it still sounds like a drum set where I had squiggly lines I had to deal with. What's his hand doing? But it really made you. Here's a good way of looking at it. When I had Constructs or Legos or Transformers or G.I. Joes, I had to make sound effects.
Of course.
I had to make different structures out of Constructs and Legos. Nowadays it's like, oh, just push this button, he'll talk. It's like the whole creativity is gone.
I mean, dude, it's crazy to think that back then you actually had to come up in your brain or, kind of decide for yourself how to get better or how to do this or how to create that. Nowadays it's just, for me, this is perfectly, perfect example for me. I literally, everything I want to do, I just Google and YouTube it. Drums and everything. Dude,
I learned how to fix my dishwasher. I didn't want to get electrocuted, but sometimes getting electrocuted goes, maybe I won't touch that next time.
Yeah.
So the hands-on and troubleshooting is gone. it doesn't teach you anything. You're just watching this tutorial or whatever, and I'm guilty as charged. And you watch these things, but you don't teach yourself anymore. Mm-hmm. They teach you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
Definitely.
Actually, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, since you do actually do drum lessons via Skype. So
Mm-hmm.
how is that? How does that really work? I mean, I've never actually did lessons on Skype.
It works great. Like, I'll charge 30 a half hour or 60 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
With my previous clients, and then my newer clients is a different plan. But you just pay me on PayPal, so I see the payment, and then I give them my Skype name, and they give me theirs, like what we just did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then I just come up with, every damn computer has a camera now on it.
Yeah. So
I just Skype that way, and I have my laptop sitting on like this little flat piece. That it's like a stand on my drum rack, and I put my laptop on that and drum away.
Mm-hmm. Now there's
you get a little bit of lag here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I mean, from Australia I've taught, and it's crazy because it's like 21 hours different. So it's like I'm teaching like literally at 9 or 10 at night, and it's like 6, 7, 10 in the morning there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Hello, mate." I'm like, "Wow." Technology. There'd be no way I could do drum lessons. So it's
unless you were in Australia.
Exactly, yeah. And that's one hell of a flight just to take a drum lesson.
So I've heard.
So, there are good things and bad things about this technology that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a gadget nerd. I'm a electronic freak. Mm-hmm. When it comes to that kind of stuff. But
I mean, we are too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's like a product of what we've grew up with. With me, it's just like technology every Christmas or whatever. It's just something new. But
like we grew up with like an imagination, and then we were right on the cusp of the internet.
Yeah, we don't have it like right.
You guys were like from the end of probably Nintendo 64 to PS2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
I came from like Atari, Nintendo, and Atari and Nintendo were like, it was like amazing. VHS Blu-ray.
Yeah.
You have the sound effects that they're going, doof, doof.
Yeah.
And you got ones going, now you got ones that are like literally watching movies.
Yeah.
Was that your Donkey Kong impression?
Kind of, yeah.
I was clueless.
Yeah, I mean, like it went from 8-bit sound to like dual 5.1 digital surround sound, all in a matter of like 20 years.
Yeah, and you're
years?
actually hearing actors' voices over. Like I said, a lot of times when people look at you playing soccer or football games, they have to take a double take because they think you're actually watching or playing the real thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so where does this go from like 10 or 20 years now? I know virtual reality is almost a thing, like they're still working on the tweaks of it, but I don't see that actually happening, because I remember like Sega Genesis a few years ago
they used to have it.
Yeah, they used to have the VR, and it's like nobody really cared about it. So wonder why the resurgence.
Yeah, like I'm on vacation and playing Gears of War, the Ultimate Edition for the Xbox One with my son. And I'm like, you just have no clue how lucky you have it right now. Like, you have absolutely no clue. Like, you have 400 different buttons to do something when I had 2.
Absolutely, the A and the B button.
A and B. Yeah. And maybe select and start if you were lucky.
Exactly. Remember blowing on the cartridges?
Oh, that was the best feeling in the world. It
when
sucked.
You finally get it to work, yeah.
But today, even like that kind of feeling, kids don't even get to possess that.
No.
Or a song when I listened to it and I couldn't wait for it to come back on the radio again.
That's right. And if you really wanted it, you had to like sync it up with your tape deck and then hit record at the exact same time.
And if you had to like dub it or duplicate another one, you had to put a piece of paper in it.
I've never went that far.
Yeah, that was the only. I just remember me recording it, on tape on the radio.
Yeah, like certain times they were getting to the point where everyone was dubbing all the different, cassettes at that time when they first came out. And like I remember Poison, Unskinny Bop, my buddy had it. I was like, dude, I need that. And we're trying, and I'm trying to put in the other tape deck and it wouldn't. So you pop the piece of plastic on the side and you put a piece of paper and it acts like that other piece of plastic, and then you can dub it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But like, would kids these days know how to do that?
I doubt it. If they looked it up, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. And you know what's coming back are records.
Yeah.
Because kids want that vintage feel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what else is coming back too is individual singles. I remember,
music, actual music is coming back.
Yes.
But like, you would buy a tape that only had like 1 or 2 songs on it, and now I noticed, I think maybe it was Avenged Sevenfold, but some other bands, I walked into Best Buy, I'm like, wow, they're actually selling a CD with 1 or 3 songs on it.
Disturbed had that too.
Really?
Yeah. I think Another Way to Die, I believe. It was like a 1 or 3 songs. Like they were given away during like Uproar Fest the year that I went. But
really,
yeah, craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan, anything else? Since we're off on like tangent after tangent.
I mean, he had to go, so we have, we had a lot of questions, but I mean, I think the episode went very well. As far as the teaching and the DVD, how's that going? Because we actually, I picked up a copy of that a while ago. How was the?
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, I think the DVD's been selling decent, I guess. I've got a lot of good rapport on it. Everyone that's purchased it has emailed me here and there and what it's helped them with. And I kind of went with more of the educational. It's not like, hey, look at me. Here, spend $20 and you'll never be able to do this shit.
Yeah. Like, how fast can you can't play this?
Like that. I wanted people to be inspired and go, I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one thing that's unique about it is, this is the reason why I bought it. It's like the YouTube, but in a DVD form. You're actually buying your favorite musician play the songs. It's not just like I'm going to show you how to do these fills and stuff like that. This is you showing, fans how to play the exact songs. And then, obviously there's other, lessons on there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wanted, YouTube's YouTube, but when you go to YouTube, it goes from drums to a girl in a bathing suit to a girl doing stupid things with cutting on a cutting board. It's like, I just want one thing and just put me into another thing.
And you're in a YouTube loop. Yep.
Yeah, so this was just dedicated for drummers. That's why I called it ADD. We all have it to a certain degree as musicians, and I called it all day drumming. Mm-hmm. And everything on my brain is drumming, so that's why my buddy Mag and his daughter Gabrielle designed that brain and all my endorsees that made up my brain. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was kind of clever of like giving all my guys all the props that's helped me over the years to give them a little plug with also that's the reason why I do what I do.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you got, a good rapport for there. Zildjian, Vic Firth, Evans, DW. I mean, those are basically like, staple brands for drummers.
The top brands, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate and blessed and humbled by the experiences that I've endured and, have built a thick skin from it over the years of playing, getting burnt, and it's just that DVD was kind of a thing that kind of released my curse for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just about me, It wasn't told what to do or this or that. It was like, this is me. What am I going to talk about? Mm-hmm. I'm my own boss at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's great that you weren't answering to anyone. Like you weren't answering to someone, be like, you know what, edit this out, leave this in there. It's whatever you wanted.
Yeah, anything I wanted. I mean, this was, it was a dream of mine and it was a confidence thing because I never thought I was good enough to put out a DVD. So I was like, and I was like, you know what? Looking back at it, it's like I'm glad I did it because I don't want to say what if.
Yeah, you never want to say what if in anything in life.
What if yeah.
Getting back on that Creed thing.
But yeah, so it was more like it really just said, you know, I prayed on it and I was like, let's do it, you know, and I look back at it and I'm way better drummer than I was 3-4 years ago when I put it out. And that's a great confidence booster because that means I keep improving, you know, mentally, spiritually, and physically on the kit.
Yeah, which is great because you haven't slowed down yet.
No, not yet. You know, my body's feeling like 92 years old, but you know, it's just all the years of drumming and it's not saying the abuse because I'm not like real crazy on the drums, but it's just something that's repetitive. And the more you do it, well, the more you're going to start feeling it's like type on a keyboard for 20 years. See how that works out for you.
So do you have any like repetitive injuries, any like back injuries or anything like that?
I have bursitis in my shoulders. I have tendonitis a little bit and what do they call it? Tennis elbow.
Yeah,
Yep.
Part of that.
Probably playing with my go-go gadget ride for so many years. And, you know, just it's just one of those things. And I mean, I thank God that I have good technique because if I didn't have good technique, I don't know where I'd be at right now.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. Absolutely. So anything you just do repetitive, you know, just be careful, take some breaks here and there. You know, I used to play 8 hours a day. Now I play like an hour and that's all I need. You know, but that hour isn't like, let's jam to my favorite songs. That's me practicing to a click. That's me practicing rudiments. That's me, you know, practicing a lick for an hour. Or all of the above for that hour. So I know what I want to get accomplished for that hour. And if I want to play longer and just, you know, mess around, then I can do that.
Now, do you have any stretch routines, anything like that before you
Yeah,
play?
yeah. I do a lot of like, I don't do like push-ups or anything stupid like that, but I do like a lot of stretching the legs, turning my ankles back and forth, trying to do it in a 360 as much as I can, bending down to stretch my legs, turning my wrist down in a downward motion and then an up motion, and then I take the sticks together and I twist them towards me to kind of stretch out all those tendons because that's really important. The more limber you are, the better you're going to play and the longer you're going to be able to play a show. I hate the people that say, I never have to warm up before I go on or stretch. Okay, cool.
See you in a couple years.
See how
exactly.
See how well your body lasts on that, buddy.
I think it was Triple H. I was listening to him on a podcast, and he was saying that was him. You know, he would just literally, you know, go in and lift weights, and then I think he said like his like bicep popped out, and he realized he's like, I'm getting old. I have to start, you know, because he would see people in the gym, you know, like people were like, you know, warming up and all that stuff, and he realized when he got older why the people, you know, did those things, and he realized he has to start doing them now because his body wasn't liking it, you know, after all those years.
Yeah, I mean, I look at our body at that age, you know, my age, 39, that it's like a train, an old locomotive, and it has to get some like calisthenics just to get the train to move. But once it's moving, it's moving. It's a tank. Like you get in its way, it's going to knock you over. So that's the way I kind of look at it, where back in the day, I was one of those locomotive trains that's run by all, you know, technology. You get in the thing, it's like, zoom, gone. I'm an old locomotive now. You know,
Exactly.
so
you have to warm up the engine. You have to throw the coal in the furnace, and you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a little engine that could after a few after a few years.
Exactly. So, that's what I try to focus on and warm up. And I do a routine. I pray with my fiance or I pray with whoever wants to pray with me. And then I go in and do my show.
Nice. Okay.
So.
Awesome. All right. Last question for him since he has a.
Yeah.
All right. Any, since I guess you could say Breaking Benjamin and maybe Black Label Society kind of seemed to be a more permanent thing. Do you have any ideas of being in like a permanent band going forward? Or are you just going to be more of like a freelance and teach lessons and stuff like that?
I'm just going to let the Lord take me where the Lord takes me. I've kind of gone that way all my life. I'll be honest, it sucks not being in that caliber of Breaking Benjamin that I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just more of a patience that I have to just, be humble and just be patient like everyone else. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I made it and then I had to go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's all right. If there's lessons to be learned from it, then I have to learn from it. But I'm always trying to just be positive at what I got, and look at what I have. I have a beautiful family. I have a good life. I mean, it hasn't been the best at times, but I don't think anybody can say that. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I win the Powerball. If I do, I'll pay for your own show.
Now we will hold you to that.
Hey, you can. So I just, learn from all the different detours I've made, all the potholes I've sunk into. And it's the same car. I just got to get a tune-up once in a while. So it's just about being patient and just waiting for that time. Mm-hmm. Again.
Yeah, everything is out of your control.
For someone to get fired or die.
Or quit.
Yeah. Or so we don't go to that extreme.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. It's just a waiting process, but I'm not going to wait and cry and spoil milk and go, why isn't anyone hiring me? You just put on the boots, pull up the straps, and just get in there again. And that's kind of where I'm going back to my roots, playing in a cover band. Mm-hmm. But it's a great cover band. I mean, Mike LeCompte's awesome. His musicians are great. We got the guitar player from Get the Lead Out and a great bass player named Rob. And we have a blast. And I don't care who I play in front of. All I care about, are they having a great time? Mm-hmm. Are they enjoying what we're doing? And if they are, then I'm doing my job. Mm-hmm. No matter if it's 12 people, no matter if it's 50,000 or 120,000, people are people.
Mm-hmm. And hey, you still have your back catalog. You have 2 albums with Breaking Benjamin. You have
Absolutely.
The one with, that's still going to be there, even if you're not in the bands or not.
Yeah.
Not many people could even say in their story where I'm at now.
I can't.
It's not saying much, Dan.
Hey, come on.
I've had a goal and it's been accomplished many times. Not many people can even say that.
No.
And I'm very blessed for that. Just to get to the point where I'm at. Everyone says, "Oh, you're the most underrated drummer." Again, that's an opinion. When it's my time to shine, I'm going to shine bright. And I think that's words of wisdom to all the people that are listening and to you guys. When it's your time to shine, shine bright.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'll definitely take that to
heart. Shine like a diamond.
Shine on, you crazy diamond. All right, Chad, we could easily go for another hour, but you are a busy guy.
Me up again, email me or Facebook me or Skype me, and I'll be more than happy to.
Oh, definitely, man. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time and purchasing that DVD.
No problem.
Of course. Enjoy the Outer Banks.
Thanks. You guys enjoy your rest of the week. All right?
You too. Good luck.
Thanks
so much.
All right.